Check 1 2 1 2. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the second live stream of the day. We kind of decided, we had some, we were brainstorming about some things. We were having some observations and having some perspective, and we've been through multiple points like this where we're like, man, getting a little discouraged or feeling like we were in that, kind of almost like feeling like, not like you want to quit, but just like you want to change something, you want to switch something up, or if you feel like something's not working. And we were just thinking about how we've been live streaming for what we consider to be a pretty, a long time. But we got some perspective from other people that are in the industry, and have been live streaming for, longer than I have, been live streaming for 3 years, however long. And, it took a little bit, even after those, grindy, couple years for them to, see the fruit of planting those seeds. And so we've been on like a 70-week live stream streak on YouTube. And I think, to be honest with you guys, I was expecting to have, I guess maybe better numbers or, just things like that, like maybe better metrics. And so my expectations of what I thought that what my work that I was putting in was going to, quote, get said results. And what that can do is it can discourage you. It can maybe make you quit if you end up letting that expectation of whatever you thought it was of the results dictate if you're going to continue to do the thing. So then you can see the results of what maybe those expectations were if you don't quit. So it's really interesting how when you get to that point and it's literally this, you're on the fence. Like you're basically putting yourself on the fence of falling over to settling and then quitting, or you fall over into the other side. That's like, I'm going to just keep going. You're either going to like rein back and kind of not do it, or you're just going to double down and say, I'm doing 2 streams a day. Now I'm going to do 2 streams a day. I'm going to upload more videos. I'm going to see what works, go into my videos and see what actually works, see what people like, and then make adjustments, because that's how you take that optimism and that inspiration like I had, like maybe you had, maybe, years before when you first started. And this doesn't have to be anything that has to do with crypto. I mean, maybe just anything that you're starting in general, and you're feeling like you're wanting to quit. It's, you get that renewed optimism of how you had before, and you use it to fine tune what and go back into what you've already done and say, okay, man, that worked really well. Let me work on that. Let me expand on that. What hasn't been working? Okay, so let's see about that. Let's whiteboard this and see what happens. And so this is where I'm at right now, I think, in my journey of my channel and testing things out. I'm sure you guys have seen where I've tested out going on, the Moon Show. I was, doing those things last year for a little while and trying to do more collaborations and stuff. But really, when I analyzed it and I broke it down and I'm honest with myself, I probably could have worked a lot harder and more in a direction of getting more collaborations, really trying to really grind on that and get videos made with people, and just, not really, to try and get anything out of it, but to expand the collaborations, the partnerships, and the relationships, because that's the most important thing. So there's at a point where you're going to go through this if you're trying to make a crypto channel, if you're trying to start a business or whatever it is. It's kind of like you have to work for those couple years before you can actually pay yourself. And so we're at that point right now where it's like this. It's this right here. I'll show you. It's really interesting. It made me think about Alex Hormozy, where he broke down how most people that go into this thing, it's like the answer's simple. You should win because you get more for what you put in when you stick to things. So when you actually stick to something, you can start to begin to see the results once you get past this basically this valley of despair, this curve of where you kind of like your uninformed optimism is in a baseline, and then once you start to actually work on your stuff, you get that informed pessimism, and then you start to go down into the valley of despair. And so then you have the time horizon of the quit and repeat phases or the push through the success. So this is the moment of the fence that I'm talking about, of where most people will end up quitting. Right there. Like in this point right here where you're like, if you just keep going, you will get back up into your informed optimism of what it took to then what it takes actually to get to the success and the fulfillment, which is right here up at the top, past having to climb up the valley of despair. But the key of this graph right here, which is such a great graph of where most people quit, is that when you quit, you end up just having to repeat phases 1 through 3, which is that beginning stage of having that actual renewed optimism and kind of like almost this what fueled the fire to start whatever that thing is to begin with. Because think about it, starting the thing is the stage, because sometimes we'll just talk and we won't do it, and you'll be like, oh, I kind of want, blah blah blah, and you'll just keep talking about it. But then once you're actually in the action of it, then you will go through the motions of if you're going to then actually stick with it, or are you going to quit. So if you don't stick to the things, you will just end up hopping from one opportunity to another without success in anything you do. So it's kind of like opportunity hopping. So, when I go to my wife and I'll kind of express kind of how I'm feeling about this particular subject, and just say, well, what are you wanting to do? Like, what's your time horizon? Like, what's your goal in doing this? And when she asks me this, I say, well, my goal is I always think like I want to get better at trading. I want to get better at analyzing the markets and the charts. I think that's a skill I'd like to sharpen. And then I do enjoy live streaming. I think I do have when I really think about it, I do have a lot of fun when there's people in here. We're talking, we're going back and forth, we're breaking down the markets, and we're just having a good time, and I enjoy that. I like that community, and I feel good doing it. So I want to cultivate that. I think I have something with this, and so I want to almost double down on it. Like I don't want to quit when I feel like I'm getting the groove and I'm feeling like I can actually, make a successful platform, and then be invited on other platforms that are successful as well. So it's interesting. It's the wealth is made during the hard times because the largest percentage of the market transfers to the few that are left standing. And that's what's so interesting, is that if you can make it through these times where you're like, man, I just want to see the stuff. But if you get discouraged and you let that discouragement and that curve right here have you quit, then you are the person that's walking out the door. We want to be one of the few left standing out of the rubble, that can sometimes be this this game, it's definitely a game of who can last the longest for sure, And so we've had this channel for I think for 3 years now. We've had this channel for 3 years. We've been actively trying to do weekly live streams for maybe the past year and a half, maybe, like where we've been trying to consistently do it. And yeah, so we're at that point, we've gotten at that point of the valley of despair where we just need to push through it. And you guys have seen me go through kind of an emotional roller coaster all through this, but it's if you relate to any of this, or if this is helping you, I just smash up the like button. That's all I ask, and just come back to the channel when we're talking, more directly about crypto. But this live stream and this kind of discussion, I hope will get you guys thinking a little bit. And maybe if you had thought about quitting crypto or investing, or you've been chopped up this cycle, that maybe this was your first cycle coming in, and it's just been hard to keep up with. Maybe you've been getting really distracted by a lot of the meme stuff. You haven't been able to figure out like even how to truly, have a grasp on your portfolio, like, and so I hope this live stream and this discussion that we have, which we will continue, can lead you guys in the right direction to just develop a plan and a strategy. Because sometimes the FOMO will just toss ourselves into the fire, we'll toss ourselves in, and we forgot that, like, we didn't even go through the playbook. We didn't even go like sit down with, say like if you're on the football team and they just all went out there and lined up and they're like, well, what play are we going to do? And then they all just start running around like this. It's like, that's kind of what 90% of people do in crypto, or trying to jump into crypto, because it's like kind of has that fast paced kind of motion and it makes you feel like you need to do this. But really, you don't have to. You can say, okay, let me actually have a game plan. Let me see where I can develop a strategy. So we've tried our best through these live streams to talk about that, how you can develop a type of strategy or some kind of plan. It can be maybe a loose plan, but even if it's a plan and it's a little loose, and then over time it starts to tighten and strengthen because you learn through the process of your plan, maybe you have to pivot. You have to pivot around sometimes. We're going to get into that, how, these markets, you have to keep up with the news, you have to keep up with all this stuff and tread lightly in all places, and make sure you have good diversification. Kind of don't have all eggs in one basket unless you're a true Bitcoin maxi. I mean, I think you're okay. You're allowed to do that. If you have all your money in Bitcoin, you in another way, you're a goat and a legend by just being, if you're a Bitcoin maxi at this point and you don't own any altcoins, bless your heart. You didn't succumb to all of these altcoin. Look, 14 million coins. They're bound to get distracted and put money into some of these things. You're bound to get distracted and want to buy some Floki, maybe some Bonk, I don't know, some Pepe. You're like, so if you just have Bitcoin and you've been able to resist the urge, man, that is tough. That's a tough one. So, but yeah, so here's one thing is that we've been using, so here's how you might have to pivot. We've been talking about this GoPulse.com website that's connected with Pulse Chain that we're like, hey, we use it. We really liked the breakdown of it. And apparently it's been somewhat of a controversial platform now, because we didn't know actually who was running it and how the tokenomics are going to be with this particular token that they're going to launch. And I got to go to this post real quick so I can show you. So let's see. Let's see. Where is it? This Hex Scout posted this. Let's see. Go. Yeah. Okay. Here it is. Okay. Go Pulse sack phase scam, exposing the background. Everyone. Let's see. Till a few weeks ago, we too had no idea who was behind Go Pulse. For us personally, it was a shock. Go Pulse has no legal disclosure. To the best of our knowledge, no one in our ecosystem has any idea who the anonymous founder behind Go Pulse really is. A major point of conflict among the Hex Scout shareholders was that 2 out of 3 partners wanted Hex Scout to be a completely altruistic product for the community. Some of the blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Financial. Let's see. It earned him around. Let's see. Was this the reason for the secret decision to launch GoPulse behind the scenes in order to later charge the community an extra 3% in hidden fees? Oh, interesting. Okay, so something about the fees. Okay, so it earned him around $4 million to date. What's condemnable? I guess, or illegal, questionable. I don't know why. Yeah, that's not spelled right. Is that users who paid these fees were never transparently informed that GoPulse was skimming 3% from their swaps. One might think that $4 million in under 2 years, with the stated 89 net profit safely converted into stablecoins, would make Victor happy, but by the end of 2024, GoPulse was already planning its exit from the community. Interesting. This is a lot to read. All right, so the fact that there were only 2 sack phases from Victor on Pulse Chain, which one of those was later refunded, while the other led to a token that ultimately went nowhere, is nowhere to be found on the landing page. Okay, interesting. All right, so I don't know. It's like it's really hard to follow what's going on the Pulse Chain ecosystem with the PDI like craziness and the nonsense. I mean, it's just like I don't know what's going on. But I guess you go on here and you can see, look, the Go Pulse phase is running until May 7th, I guess. I don't know if I'm gonna even click on that. I put in, like I said, like $100 or so into was just testing out the ecosystem way back whenever the sacrifice and all that happened. Actually, the chain launched, and because I was just curious, I bridged over and was seeing what the action was, and coins went up a little bit. I think the highest the value went was like maybe 400 or so, 450. And then that was also when ETH and everything was flying at that time. So sure enough that these particular coins were doing really well. I mean, you can see it on the chart too. Like whenever PLS launched, if you look on the daily chart, during those times where it was, you see like when ETH was pumping and ETH went up like 20% in one day, and it was during that January, February, March, beginning of last year. I mean, it just pumped. It did really well. So that was kind of like your opportunity right there. And there was one more time that pre-election, the pre-election or pre-election, post-election Trump, pump. That was kind of another opportunity there, but yeah, interesting. Not really sure how I want to go about that, but all right. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming into today's live stream. At the first of this live stream, you're just coming in, we were talking about how if you're feeling like you are wanting to quit, just, I think, sit down maybe with a piece of paper, notepad, and a pen, and write down the things that have gone good. You know, sometimes as humans, we like to focus so much on like what we think has gone bad or what we've done or you know, mistakes, you know, whatever may be, bad trades or, you know, not getting enough views on a certain type of video or whatever. But, you know, maybe it would help for inspiration and to help bring yourself up and be like, hey, you know, what actually worked? What did I do good that you felt good about? And then you can look at those things and say, all right, well, let me try that again. Let me see if that builds up a spark or inspiration, and then like go to the next level and then kind of get it to the next level. Yeah, so Bitcoin price is going super sideways. It's chopping around in this order block. If you can really see it on the hourly, it's basically just been chopping around 92 and between 92 and 95, just it's just bouncing around. So this is really tricky. It's really tricky to trade when the price is doing things like this, because it's, you know, it kind of just, it's just bing bonging. So in a sense, it could be kind of tough and also easy, because if you're just thinking, all right, if it's just going to keep bing bonging, then I'll know that price is, you know, could get exhausted again at that resistance level. Kind of see how the volume and the MACD looked and the RSI looked at all the different resistance points. You can see like, all right, you know, we started to push up here, but you can see we had a bottoming out. We had a nice cross on the MACD and had a little bit more volume pushing in. But here, you know, you know, or at least on this one right here before, the MACD did not look the same. You know, it wasn't the same. Like from here pushing up to here to try and hit that level, it looked like this. It just didn't look really good. Just kind of looking bearish. So then the difference in some of these areas is that like, okay, we're going to have a reset in the MACD here, or just you know, a nice switch on the RSI, different level, then we can maybe sustain above the resistance right here, because this now this has been pretty damn key resistance that we keep getting smacked on, is boom, boom, boom. And getting inside this order block, it seems like it just could not hold it. So it got sent right down. And this was also, if you were watching, you know, the news and the market open, all that stuff, and you had the GDP come out kind of bearish, sent some selling pressure into Bitcoin, kind of correlated also with, you know, the stock market. But it did have a nice little bounce though. So, but if you think about as what it looked like on the daily, was kind of wicky, went down, then had a little recovery. I think it was just quick reactions of that GDP, but so another point that we want to make about why you shouldn't quit crypto is what kind of the point we were making earlier, is that crypto eventually is going to get to that $15 trillion Bitcoin, a $7 trillion, you know, altcoin, top 5 altcoins will be in the 7 trillion range, and everything under that is going to be 4 trillion memes. You think the top memes right now, even just the memes alone, the total market cap right now for memes is, let's see, 55 billion. And I can just see this curve right here just going zoop, and we just go to where we're at just the memes. I think we could be at $1 trillion. 1 trillion for memes. And then all the other layers and the chains and all the different gaming tokens and whatnot, like that would be in that category of being in the other, 3 trillion. But just memes alone, I think we could be at 1 trillion. If you look at this chart on the monthly, you can look at it on the weekly. I think if we just really look at this thing on a bigger, more macro perspective, 15 trillion right here. That's kind of my target. If you're gonna do a measure about 15, 16, 17 trillion right here. That's like my super bull case right there. Super bull case. But my conservative case is that we just do the measured move of how we've broken out before. And especially because we have this cup and handle pattern here. And if you watched the live stream earlier today, shout out to all the people that were in that live stream. Gold has been doing this and was doing this since the 2008 financial crash. And so since the 2008 financial crash, where it basically found the bottom right here of the breakout, where it's, it cooled off from $1,000 an ounce, went down to 683, and then started to do a overarching breakout. So if we were to now draw kind of a this trend line from here to here, that was like the exact, look at that. So that's like perfect target breakout for gold to get there. You can do the same thing on this chart, because that's what we kind of did. We think that target could be hit pretty easy in the next year, 2 years, especially with the stablecoin liquidity coming in to chains like Solana, BNB, Tron, Sui, getting some stablecoin liquidity as well. But the one that's had the biggest growth over the year, since last year, Solana has $13 billion of stablecoin growth. So this, I've been thinking about what is the catalyst to actually have Solana go to $1,000? Like, what would be the catalyst? The memes and the top memes are on Solana. So if you're thinking about Solana and what is the reason and the catalyst? Well, there's a few. You have some of the top memes on Solana. The Trump coin was minted on Solana. Solana is one of the only besides Ethereum that has a CME futures tradable. Solana might be one of the first altcoins to get the ETF, along with Litecoin and Dogecoin and possibly XRP. But a lot of these have been delayed. If you're wondering about the ETF news, all these have ETFs filed, but they're all being delayed. So, but yeah, my thing is that I think that the stablecoin liquidity, also along with the bullish memes and the dexes and the protocols that are generating mass revenue, and just proving that Solana can be a high generating revenue chain to build on. You want to be where the money is, where the action is, where people want to be on chain. And so with that, could surge Solana to this cup and handle breakout here to $900. Now, $1,000, yeah, it's possible. But I think a good conservative $900 is still a really good target for Solana for that breakout. It's 530% move to the upside. So Solana could outperform a lot of the altcoins, a lot of these top altcoins, in terms of the liquidity, how many people are using the chain for, institutional adoption, gaming, all that stuff. So yeah, Solana. So I've always thought, like, how could Solana actually get to $1,000? Well, now that could be the macro case, as all of those things that I mentioned. Put a 1 in the chat if you're bullish on Solana. We can only have so many emojis for the chat. We're going to post them all. All right, so the trades. All right, Mr. Crypto said 1. All right, yeah, so I think, yeah, a lot of people are bullish on Solana. Solana has showed its strength. I think we were all probably upset with ourselves when we were convinced that Solana was dead after the FTX crash, and if you weren't scooping up the lows, and there were different points too, all during these markups right here, where we could still get a super cheap SOL that went down, the network went down, and it was getting trashed, and but then all of a sudden the memes started coming out on Solana and showed its dominance, and it really ran the price up. Kind of showed what can happen when interest starts coming in and you need the coin, you need SOL to be able to like swap into said whatever's the thing. And so that's how Solana ended up, but I mean, just flying, getting these, monthly green candles, 1, 2, 3, green monthly candles in a row in 2023, just really ran up. I mean, yeah, it just started to really, really run. But see, what's interesting is that you can kind of see Solana as a representation of how the altcoins kind of got stalled out and started to bleed into Bitcoin. Because right here in this area was where altcoins kind of just started to bleed into Bitcoin. Oh yeah. So I mean, if in terms of like performance, I mean, yeah, if you were to compare how ETH performed with against Solana, I mean, in terms of percentage moves, I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously. But if you look at this chart, though, if you see this red line, you see this line here. Kind of hard to see. Maybe I should change the color. So that yellow, so this yellow is ETH. So I mean, it kind of followed a little bit. I mean, you got to think it basically. But yeah, if you think about it now, ETH has had a lot of swings. It had that swing down, and then all during this point, you can see Solana kind of held up pretty strong, and then you can see here that ETH has just been underperforming against a lot of the altcoins like Sui or Solana, the XRP. And then against Bitcoin, it's really been not performing well. You can check that out by going into the ETH BTC chart. It's kind of your metric in your chart that you can look at to see where we are in the season for alts. Because once the chart, you can kind of see here, once the ETH BTC chart, actually flips, that's when ETH actually starts to pump. because you can see here where the ETH chart, ETH BTC chart, actually flipped here and went bullish. That was 2019 or 2020 right here, beginning of 2020 was where it bottomed, and then we had a run from January 2020 all the way to November 2021, which was the peak of altcoin season. If you guys remember, November 2021 was when we had like peak altcoin season, like alts were flying. Like we had like crazy alts flying. Also during this time was DeFi summer. We had DeFi summer because of Binance Smart Chain and all of that. So that was also really key in getting liquidity and interest and kind of like a new narrative coming in to the markets. And so what happened here, if you see here, ever since then, at the top of the ETH BTC chart at the bull market highs for altcoins, we've just been just donging over. Like we basically like ED'd into the bottom here. So could you say that because we have hit the market low of ETH BTC from January 2020, could that now be the ETH BTC recovery that we get for then that as another key metric to line up with quantitative easing, less interest rates being cut, we have more money supply coming in, and then we have more of a risk of tolerance instead of a risk aversion towards alts, and then retail comes in and starts buying alts because they don't really don't buy Bitcoin. It's the institutions that are buying the Bitcoin. The retail is going to buy the alts. This switches. Institutions then actually start to buy ETH. They load up because of the ETF. And this could be that could be the line in the sand right there. You can see it's definitely been in the oversold portion. But the lowest it's ever been was in 2016, and we actually went into 0.15 Bitcoin per ETH. So this ETH pair price in Bitcoin at 0.15 at its peak, but from the bottom of 2016 where it was right here. So it was it went down really low. So we don't want to see anything like this. And I mean, maybe it could go lower. I don't know. But I mean, I would love to see something like this. That would actually be great. Obviously, we want to see something like that. But yeah, we could see something like this. It's not going to be an up candle all the way up. As you can see, does something like this. If that's the case, then we'll just bring our little funky drawing over here, and we just do one of those, and maybe that's what happens. We just match this pattern, What do you guys think? What do you think? What do you think about that? I sound like Benjamin Cohen. In the dominance of Bitcoin, whenever we are at the pivot point of the bull market cycle, we tend to trend up and the alts bleed into Bitcoin. That's my best Benjamin Cohen. Thank you. But no, sometimes I do sound like Benjamin Cohen, and I might bore the crap out of you with the Bitcoin dominance or the macro stuff. But it is what it is. We can't help it. All right. Whoa, we're on a monthly chart. Okay, hold on. Let's go back. Let's go to but yeah, I mean, like if you really look at like what it does though, like these cycles, it's crazy. And the cycle is going to be a little bit different this time because it is different. I mean, you got to think about the nature of the accumulation of Bitcoin right now with these wealth funds and the nation states and governments and the ETF alone, and then you have a Bitcoin hodl race. I think that what's going to start happening here is that like countries aren't going to want to be left behind. And so it's one of those things where if you just kind of look at how these cycles performed with less sentiment and more choke on companies, all of that stuff was in play. We had bad actors all over the place. We had like stuff that wasn't working, terrible tech. And then now we have some of the best tech. We have some of the best chains. We have some of the best like ways that normies can kind of get in with all these different apps that help them just kind of set up a wallet seamlessly with even just doing an email address. Like I didn't even have that coming into crypto. I had to do the seed phrase. Now you can just eliminate the seed phrase. You don't even need it. So it's just like there's so many different things now, and hopefully that is the goal I think of crypto, is to make the user interface and the UI seamless to where it's like it's as easy as what it is to just log on or whatever it may be. You might be old school and you want to have more security. You don't want that. You're like, no, I want the seed phrase. You know. Or you know, you're practicing doing cold storage. You know, you're like, I have crypto on cold storage. But yeah, David, yeah, like Moonshot. You know, something like Moonshot. You know, I think that's good. That's ultimately it is good for crypto. It's good for retail to kind of get exposure like that, because it's kind of like how we got into Robinhood. We downloaded Robinhood during COVID. You know, during the COVID times and the lockdowns, like everyone was. It was interesting. Like we were starting to figure out like, well, what do we do? So the people were downloading Robinhood. There was the whole run on Wall Street, the Wall Street bets. There was the Reddit community with Roaring Kitty. But then not even just with that, it was just this whole underbelly of people that were tired of what was happening and tired of the system, and also going crazy from being locked down. And so some people, if they were able to, kind of got into that fringe, started going on Robinhood, maybe going into buying some small stocks. You know, they're seeing like what's in right now, what is coming up, and a lot of it was, you know, it was a lot of those weed stocks. It was like weed farms and cannabis farms. Some of it was like a lot of the different tech companies. And then at that time, too, a lot of the companies that were involved in pharmaceutical products, like, you know, freaking syringe. I mean, just imagine if you were to invest in companies that made syringes or whatever, or just like any kind of thing but masks. So it was like people were going into that direction, or you discovered crypto, or you started to think about crypto. And during that time, because that was me, I was like getting wins from friends and different things, and seeing Bitcoin on there and seeing that there was this thing called ETH. And I was like, what is this? You know, and this was around in 2020. Like, what really is it? You know, like, what is it actually? That was when I actually started to go, okay, let me actually put my money, let me actually buy this thing. It took until 2020, and I knew about it before then. I've told you guys before, if you've watched this channel long enough, I remember Andreas Antonopoulos was on Joe Rogan, and it was like, this was like 2016 or something, like maybe 2015. I'll have to go back. It was one of the episodes where he was explaining about Bitcoin, and I was like half listening, and I was like, okay, Bitcoin, like, okay. A Satoshi, he was explaining what a Satoshi was. And I was like, okay, cool. And I just didn't even think about it at all after that. I didn't go into it. I didn't try and buy any. And then COVID hits, and then that was when I was like, okay, what's this Bitcoin? What's this? What is this Bitcoin? And then it really took until 2021 to kind of get through that first COVID year, get into 2021, and then start to go on crypto YouTube and download some wallets, download an exchange, but yeah, people are going to go through that same process, but in a different market structure, guys. That's I guess the point I'm trying to make is that, like, even through all of that craziness, the markets and the stock market still found a way to pump. And you know why? Because they print the money. And because they're able to print the money and issue debt, and then they get more money by printing the money and then issuing the debt, and then you can get more, you can get loans, you can do all this stuff at zero interest. What do you think Michael Saylor is doing when he's able to get that loan for $1 billion loan with almost like zero interest? What did he do with it? He didn't buy real estate. He bought digital real estate. He calls it the digital Manhattan, like you're buying digital Manhattan. Like you were buying a piece of Manhattan back in the 10s or the 20s, and now you still have it. It's kind of like that. So what do you think they're going to do with all that money? What do you think they're going to do with all that freshly printed fiat money? And this is not just the Federal Reserve banks in the United States. It's the central banks in all countries that have a fiat currency. It's not too pretty for them either. So I think my point here in the macro conversation that we're having in observation of the markets is that with each cycle, we have these different narratives and points and choke points that we're going to go through. But now I think that we have been through a few of our choke points and points of capitulations and all these things in this particular run here in this purple box. Because I want to remind you guys that if you just do this right here, make this same chart. Make this same chart. But this is I think this is what makes, it's funny, it's not, David, he said, thou shalt not steal. That is stealing. Yes, 100%. They have been stealing from the American people for years and years and years, but this whole triple, double, quadruple tax that they end up putting on us, we end up, we get taxed over 5 times over on the same money. We're getting taxed on taxed on taxed on tax. And so it is ungodly, it's unjust what is actually happening to us. And I think that's why Bitcoin was created, out of the disparity that is this system. And so that's why I think Bitcoin was ultimately created by Satoshi Nakamoto, which could be a group of people. CZ thinks it's an AI robot from the future. I mean, who knows? I think it's a culmination of really nerdy video game developers that also were making in-game currency in the video games, and then they broke off and they met Hal Finney. Hal Finney and all them were best friends, and they made this currency to hopefully save the world. I don't know. That could be it. There's all these rabbit holes and lore trap doors that you fall through when you start to learn that, oh man, maybe the best, most like sound money and digital currency in the world was created by video game developers from Japan out of the 90s. I mean, you got to think about it. Look at what came out of the 80s and the 90s of video games. Pretty crazy, like, so the creativity and the things that they were able to create, and then they probably definitely translated that into our reality in the real world, which is, I think, the whole gamification and the network of Bitcoin, the whole thing of the hash rate and solving code, solving a thing with computers, connected network. Total game nerd idea. 100%. I would bet money on that. But yeah, bring this box here, and you see it's the same kind of trajectory. We're just looking at least the similar same trajectory. So we still have some room to grow. We still have some room to grow. So where do you think they're going to put all that money? Well, they're putting it in Bitcoin. I bet they're going to put it in this network here. And honestly, I think for sure, Emmanuel, I do believe this. I think that the gaming, and speaking of that, we wanted to go back and give a shout out to Nakamoto Games. I think we're still bullish on Nakamoto Games. I think they have been still shipping stuff out. I mean, now they have the Naka mobile app. They have this. I didn't see. This is the classic pool game app experience. 8-ball pool, and then there's Chain Block, which is kind of like a Tetris game. But this is on Google Play. Both of these are on Google Play and on the App Store, so they're taking over the App Store. It's pretty cool. You can do free-to-play games on here, and then also you can do the play-to-earn, which you have to have the Naka token because it's like a token. It's like a gaming token. Like you go into the arcade and you use some Naka to play the game. And then however you do in the game, if you do really well and you actually like beat the game and have a good score, you're going to earn more Naka back than what you actually probably put in. So pretty decent tokenomics with the reward systems here. You can, log in, you have a profile. I have a cute little Pikachu as my profile picture. And you can see I have some Naka in my account here. And then also some points and some pretty cool stuff. And you'll notice that whenever the sentiment goes back into the gaming tokens and into this narrative, Naka always does well. I noticed when the gaming sector was popping off, Naka was like was doing really well. So I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna keep it on the radar. And then the other one was Medieval Empires. They've been shipping to. They've been updating the token itself. Actually, let's look at the token. We have a look at the token in a minute. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. Where's the me token? There it is. So this token, it definitely got beat. It got beat down a little bit. It hit the low, hit a pretty decent low, as low as what its 2023 low was here from the top. Broke all-time high here during that big. So right here was a key point for a lot of these tokens that were breaking off on ETH. So ETH was pumping all during this time, and this was our kind of pre-altcoin season. It was our like altcoin, kind of a pre-altcoin pump season. So a lot of these tokens during this time did really well. So this was one of them that went up it went up a lot. But getting beat down off that Trump pump, it got beat down pretty hard. Ugh. Well, you guys are too sweet. You guys are too kind. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. We're just going to be streaming for just another couple minutes. We wanted to come in here and talk ourselves out of stopping the live streaming, because we have fun doing it. When we're having fun and we're really on one, we enjoy it. And I think if we just keep developing it, we can try some new stuff. we can maybe, I think we could, I'm sure you guys would agree, maybe we could use to structure it a little bit, you know. But my ticker Bitcoin Harry Potter Obama Sonic 10 Inu style schizo kind of breakdown of the market ends up coming out. It's tough. It's tough to fan that thing down. All right, so let's go through a couple of these tweets here. Let's see. Oh yeah, so I wanted to maybe we'll get some. What were the replies here? Oh man, people are lighting me up. That they were like, man, you've been using it for a year. That's using GoPulse. You've been paying those fees. I don't know. I guess I was dumb for using GoPulse. No one ever told me otherwise until just now. This whole time, like you wait till now. When was this even posted? I guess this is new information, but man, damn. Man, it's a shame because I like this website, but I don't know. I guess I was wrong. Yeah, see, and this is interesting. Yeah, and the reason why I even started using GoPulse to begin with is because I think it was promoted, like Richard Hart himself was directing people towards it. He was like, yeah, GoPulse is a good platform. So, oh my gosh, I don't know. I just don't know about this about the Pulse chain ecosystem, guys. It's a dicey one. It's like this one is like you got to tread water very lightly if you're going to dabble in the Hex community or the Pulse chain ecosystem. There's a lot of stuff going on there, and the only way that we're gonna figure out if it was worth even being in this thing at all is when ETH pumps. When ETH pumps, and if this thing kind of just doesn't go anywhere, then you have your answer. If it just kind of stays flat. So am I the only idiot that tested out the Pulse chain and just was on this thing? I mean, I guess so. Lordy. Yo, what's going on, XN? I'm trying not to be too loud. I don't want to be too loud. There's my office is not as soundproof as I would like it to be. Because I think I really do want to start doing these 8 o'clock live streams again. Because we were doing them for a hot minute. We were doing 11:30 and 8 Eastern Standard Time. But now we switched it. We switched it up, and we were just doing 11, just one stream. But I think we're gonna start doing the 8 o'clock rundown. And I think in the 8 o'clock we'll always test some kind of crypto game or some kind of crypto game something. I'm curious what Naka has. It's like brand new. Let's see what's brand new. Let's see the free to earn games or just free to play games. Let's just do free to play games. Oh, Cheese Chaser. The one that I liked testing out was the Naka Strike, or it was kind of like Counter Strike. Yeah, Naka Strike. It's very very much like Counter Strike. So let's try this out. Let's do a quick play. So as you can see here, if there was anyone in the room right now, then you could chat with them. You could say yo yo, yo yo. See the chat pop up here. And actually, what we can do, guys, if you want to come in and actually test one of these games out with me, come into this room, because then you'll be ported right into this room. So let's see. Let's copy this link and let's get the chat up. Oh, why is the chat? No. Oh, it got disconnected from the dock. All right, so click on that and see if that brings you right to the room, so I can see some other people in here. Are you guys sitting at a desktop right now, or are you on a laptop, or are you on your phone? All right, let's just test this out. It's been a little bit. Oh, let me go back. I don't think this room is working. Go back. Let's see. Might have to do, let's see, free to earn games. There we go. Okay, there's the single player, and that was the that was the multiplayer room. Okay, we just got to go to the single player. Okay, cool. So this is how the lobby, like it loads you into a lobby, and then there's rooms that you can join into. So then if you want to join in room 1, you join in here. Now let's start. With the fast run in this one, because there's like a kind of like a cheapy version of the counter. Okay, there we go. Oh, shift is run. Okay. Oh, no. That's not where I wanted to go. What happened there? I don't know know what the hell I just did, but I think I just closed it. Well, where'd my tab go? My tab just disappeared. Where'd it go? What the heck? That's crazy. Whoa, Karate Combats has some advertisements on the Brave browser. Play to win, never to lose. Okay, there, nice. That's pretty cool. All right. But legit though, what the heck happened to the? Why did that tab just close like that? All right, this is a new game. Let's test out Dawn of the Damned. Oh, wait a second. Is it? Oh, you have to download it. Okay. It's kind of like playing zombies. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I guess. Okay, so that's the standalone. They also have a card game as well. If you guys are into that, it's called Galactic Grail. And then all these crypto dashboards have like some kind of running game. We're gonna have to test out the dashboard though, because they do have it looks like they have a dashboard now, or a Naka launcher. I know we've tested out in I think a few times on this channel on the live stream the Vulcan launcher, which is connected to this ecosystem, the Vulcan Forged with the PYR token. I mean, yeah, pretty super low market cap for what it did back in the previous cycle here, as you can see. Got up to almost close to $1 billion market cap. I mean, this thing was flying. So I think there's a lot of stuff that is at pretty wicked lows that if you're bullish on crypto gaming and you think it's coming back to anywhere of what its peak was in the last cycle, and it's kind of little test into the, into 2024, we had that little gaming bull run, just a little tiny little gaming bull run, nothing crazy. But look, I'm talking like this, something like that, where we're getting up, we're pumping up. It's all it's going to take is for one or two, just one major game studio or blockchain to have a very, very successful game launch or ecosystem. Sui's actually working on this right now. You got to think with that Sui Play, that handheld that they have that looks like a Steam Deck. Have you guys seen that thing? It's pretty wild. Yeah, look at this thing. It's it's called the SUI Play. It's the 0x1 it's an open Steam Deck like gaming handheld with multiple game stores. So I mean it's gonna be huge. So Miston Labs announced that it is working with open operating system company Playtron to launch an open gaming handheld with multiple game stores, from the SUI Web3 Games to the Epic Games Store. So this is going to be very, very interesting when this thing actually fully launches. So when did this article come out? When did this particular article come out? This was April 10th. This was 2024. Shit, we need to. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. These are all old articles. Old as crap. Where are the new articles, man? Expected to launch second quarter. It will run games built on the SUI blockchain, as well as blockchain games on other networks and PC games from platforms like Steam and Epic Games. The SUI Play 0x1 aims to provide a deeper and more engaging gaming experience through player ownership facilitated by blockchain technology. I mean, yeah, this is freaking huge. This is maybe because I had this thought. I was like, I don't. SUI has been crushing it. I mean, it's really been like one of those charts where you're like, man, is this thing going to get exhausted at some point? But if that's the case, and they're going to be partnering up with Pokemon, if that's like legit, this thing could get to, I mean, super price discovery mode and start like breaking all-time highs and just like getting to $17, $24, in between that range, which then it would be a contender of outperforming currently right now Solana. That's what people are curious about. They're like, is Solana is SUI going to outperform Solana, or is Solana going to outperform SUI? It's basically could do the same. I mean, they both could do 400 to 500% moves to the upside over the next year or two. Maybe it would just be smart to hold both, because if they're both going to do well and one does 500, one does 300, whatever. I mean, gosh, but if you're holding both, you are doing really well. Like your bags are going to be fairly well packed. But yeah, this thing is going to be cool. Do any of you guys own a Steam Deck or something like this? And how often do you use it? Like, is it something that you actively use? Yeah, I don't have a Steam Deck or anything like that. I was really big into handheld games and gaming just during the kind of the PSP days, and I've had all my fair share of handhelds through the years, but I don't have a Steam Deck or anything like that. I do have a Switch. I bought a Switch for the household. Basically, it's like a household Switch. It's kind of it's my daughter's now, but I bought it for both of us to fool around with, and it's that's been pretty fun. I know that the Switch 2 is coming out, or it already is out, or it's about to be out. So this is I feel the direction going into this whole different era of mainstream gaming being underlining being powered by blockchain. because of the ownership, the kind of NFTs, the marketplaces, and the kind of, I think the previous markets and the previous runs that we had were kind of a tester. It was like, okay, here's the thing. And then it cooled off. And then we're going to see something like Nintendo and like the thing with the Sui and the Pokemon and the Grand Theft Auto. It's going to spur I feel like maybe a crazy crypto gaming bull run. That it could be completely separate from Bitcoin and everything else. We definitely need Bitcoin and ETH to perform well. It definitely helps all of the market and the sentiment towards these coins. But man, we get all the bullishness of Bitcoin pumping, and then we have, Sui doing this, and then we have Nintendo getting in. We got, Sony. We got all these, big companies coming in, along with the bullishness of all the macro stuff that we broke down with Bitcoin and what it'll look like just in terms of, a store of value against fiat currency. This is like, man, we're in the right spot. We're in the right spot. Oh, man. I should have been sitting, guys, man. I've been standing this whole time. Not a good idea. We got Ansem shilling the next coin, house coin. Did any of you guys get into house coin? I just keep buying the ticker. I just like Fathead Dave, just it came to me in a dream. The ticker is Bitcoin. The ticker has always been Bitcoin. It's never not been Bitcoin. So BTC and Bitcoin. Speaking of the ticker, we're going to pull it up. If you want to know the strong, high liquidity tokens on the Ethereum blockchain, go to Dex Screener, click on liquidity and get the liquidity, the up. And the top one, you got Pepe, you got Floki, SPX 6900, Mog Coin, the Milady Cult Coin, Banana, the AI Smart Contract Auditor, Harry Potter, Obama, Sonic, Taninu. Now, some of them that I would like to have an audible mention is Wojak. Wojak, Pepe, Harry Potter, Mog, SPA, like these all came out around the same time. They all came around the same time. The one that actually has, was first was Pepe. Pepe signaled. Pepe, if you guys remember, Pepe signaled that memes are have staying power. That we can have a meme super cycle. That we can have another Doge. That's what Pepe signaled for a lot of these people, like Harry Potter, Obama, Sonic, Taninu, like the team, to kind of to keep going, to be like, all right, yeah, let's do it. And then that's like, we saw Wojak, we saw all these, Bobo. Yeah, Bobo actually came around the same time too. So you think like these are like those OG, ETH memes like Bobo, Wojak, ticker Bitcoin, SPX, came out of ticker Bitcoin. I think if you know the story is like the SPX 6900 dev like lost his money in the original Harry Potter, Obama, Sonic, Taninu casino, and then it inspired him to create his own coin. And then some. I think there's also some lore with the Miladies, with the Miladies as well. But I don't want to begin to. I don't remember exactly, but at least I remember that one. That one's funny. But yeah, I just find it fascinating. You got these really these OG ETH coins. But my favorite out of all of these, I have love for some of them, but My favorite has always been the ticker, just because of the lore, the story of the backpack. I think this chart really does represent, like, you know, when memes are doing good, you know, and then when retail is kind of interested into crypto again, this is a representation of that sentiment in the market. And it's a really, really good representation. And I always loved how this chart looked. And I really liked the interview that that the devs just did recently. And they said, you know, yeah, it's such a strong chart. It's got the best chart out of any, you know, meme coin, you know, with all the stuff that memes end up going through or the project goes through, you know, just all the stuff that ends up happening, that it's been able to run up to these prices. But then, you know, it has sell-offs. You know, people make money. People come in. They come in and out. It's all good. But it is a very good representation of when things are hot and when they're not. This is when it, you know, this is when things got hot. Every single point of this chart is when things got hot. It's pretty damn good representation of the sentiment is this chart for me, just for memes in general. So this is why at the point where we're here, at the same points of where, you know, the retail or whatever, you lose interest or people want to quit or whatever it may be, and then it comes back. I'm looking for something like this. You know, I'm looking for something like this. You know, we get back to 24 cents. You know, we really start pushing back up. Now, for someone who has never bought the ticker, you're just coming in and you're thinking, wow, it's not financial advice ever. Jeez. But I don't know what other time to buy. You're at literally the bottom of each range of where we've pumped on interest of what we're going into right now again. Now, of course, we know that's not the end game. The end game's always past $1. The end game is $1 billion market cap, but we don't stop there. It's 10 billion. That's why the 10 is on the Sonic. We actually don't know why the 10 is on the Sonic, but we like to think that it's either we're going to $10, because as Bitcoin gets to $1 million per coin, and ETH is at, like, you know, $20,000, where do you think the ticker is going to be? Well, I would imagine it'd be up here. We go to that $10 billion market cap. I think it's possible. It could be possible. You have to really believe. But right now, sitting where we're at, breaking $1 billion market cap, will be 1,419% move to the upside. It's an overarching journey, but I think we can get there. Might look a little something like this. Might look a little something like the chart that we see in front of us. Do 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 do. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Are the Asians coming in? Are the Asians coming in with liquidity? I think they might be. We're seeing a bit of a bounce here. We're seeing some bouncage on Bitcoin. Look at the Coinbase chart. Let's look at that Coinbase chart. Ooh, baby. Ooh, it's pushing through that order block right here. But we want to go on the hour. That was where we were seeing some interesting data on the choppiness of this range here. You can see it was like, I was thinking it was gonna maybe test up and do this kind of thing, but it got rejected really bad right there. I was looking more at that top of the band, trying to touch that candle, but it went down. That was the GDP there. GDPD. You can see it's eyeing this order block area again, the top of the band, 95.3. If you got in any kind of long here, around in this range here, top of the band right here should be. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but that'd be a good take profit. Be a good take profit just to skim off the trade. You got. I mean, look at the resistance here. It's eyeing this order block resistance. You can see it. You can see the through line. It's right there. There's your first take profit from any of these range lows if you were able to get into some of them. This also, of course, this candle right here after the wick drop was a confirmation of a continuation, forward momentum. You can also kind of see it here on the cross of the MACD. Exhaustion of the sellers. You can see it fading out a little bit right here. If you want to know how to use this indicator, basically, when you start to see these histograms fading, it means that sellers are getting exhausted. You can see it here. Sellers get exhausted, and you can see where it kind of can flip bullish. And then the moment where you also have that combined with a cross on the moving averages here, then you get kind of more of a bigger slap to the upside, which that move gave us from here. If we were to correlate those things together, along with that RSI bottom here, gives us a nice big move to the upside. I mean, that was a 2, 3, almost 3% move. So right here, we're kind of getting a similar thing, get a similar play out. Got a cross. We're starting to get green on the histogram. It's moving up, and we're getting now from that bottom a potential 3% move to the upside. If we get a 3% move from this point, then we could break through that order block, and that could be and then if we break through here, then the next stop is 96.73 and 97.14. If you're looking at some spots. So you got your TP1 here. You got TP2 if you're still in the trade, and I would make sure that you're just maybe you're protecting your trade, because at that point you could hit if we hit major resistance again at this spot, then you're at least solidifying a take profit. So how would you do that? So how would you do this? You want to solidify a take profit, and you're in a trade. Here's an example. So you got BTC. You're in a trade. You got your stop loss set. So we got our stop loss set. We might even trail it up a little bit. We'll just make sure hey, we'll move it here. We might not even want to lose it, not barely in nothing. So we're going to really move it. But then we want to make sure that at these points that we want to hit that take profit. So we would go to the chart and we'd say, okay, if that's that through line where we'd probably want to hit that TP1 from where those lows were, 95.663. You can go right into the limit order and go 95,663, and you want to close half the trade. I mean, you can determine however much you want to close on it, and so you can say, all right, I'll close half at 95,663. So then now you got that TP1 at that resistance level. You can, half of it. You can maybe even close it all. I mean, who knows? Whatever your strategy is of how you want to do this. You can say, hey, I want to close 50%. I'll close 75%, and that's just you're scooping off those profits right off the rip. And you can do it with the limit, but you can also do it like this, where you can go into the actual take profit here and say, I want to do take profit at 95,663, half the trade, and or 75% to lock it in, and that gives you an opportunity to still have the trade open in case it breaks out, and then you can make your moves from there. But once it breaks here, I would look, you can see the band on the daily here, the Bollinger Band, eyeing that next level we break through. The next level on the band is 98,876. So we clear those resistance points, which, probably could, I'd say, high likely chance that we do break through here, because it looks like that structure. We chopped around. I think we've chopped around enough, right? I mean, we've chopped around enough from this range that it's due for a breakout. I mean, this is how the accumulation happens, right? Like we get broken down into the low ranges, chops up here. It's like almost like shaking people off the bull. Shake them off the bull, they get flown off, and then it goes, and then it starts running. And then you have another point where you get shaken off. It's just that chop, and then boom. And you can see it here if you look at it on the reverse, we already hit those levels right there on the lows coming up from these highs. So I think if you were to inverse this pattern here, it just looks like this is what we're due for. We're just kind of overdue, especially with all the bullish news that has been hitting, the news feed. I think more bullish than bearish. I think if we were to take all the mainstream media out of the equation, we probably have actually more bullish news. But sometimes the media narrative would like to make you think otherwise. But yeah, just gotta watch it. It's good divergences though. Nice bounce from the order block, but we're looking like we want to eye this level. So let's see what happens. All right, thank you guys for coming in. Thanks for smashing up the like button. I really do appreciate it. And make sure if you just came in or you came in late in the stream and you didn't get a chance to hear the conversation that I had in the beginning of the stream, because we went into, like, if you're feeling like quitting, here's how you can maybe not do that. And hopefully the things that we broke down and had in the perspective that I gave you guys helps you continue the journey, and hopefully you don't quit whatever you're doing. And especially with crypto, I truly think that, with all the things that you could get into over the next couple of years, or in investing or whatever it is, like to learn about Bitcoin and to start accumulating and having a strategy, learning about the altcoins and all that stuff. I think it's really, really important. I think it might be more important than we even realize right now, because of the nature of us still being early with, all of this stuff. I think we're still massively early. Sometimes we're in this bubble. We're on the bubble of YouTube and crypto Twitter, and we all kind of know. But the person who's not in this bubble with us, which is 95% of people out there right now, they're not here fully yet. They're not here yet. They're not thinking, no, let me be the custodian of my money. I won't power over my money. They're not thinking that. They're just like, give me the direct deposit in the damn bank. Let me go buy the stuff. I need to do the stuff, blah, blah, blah. They're not thinking like how we're ranting online about Bitcoin with the megaphone, Alex Jones style. They're not like that. So we are early. I think this is the place where you're probably, if you stuck with it and you learn about it a little bit more, could bring some massive, massive opportunities. And I think the one thing that we could really learn to sharpen is our ability to learn about money, get better at money and investing, trading, because I think that is the true way out of this matrix, my friends. I think it might be one of, if not the only thing, but one of the top things that you could do and learn about to get yourself out of the quote matrix. Now, with that being said, I'll see you guys later. God bless. Have a good night, morning, evening, whatever time frame you're watching. Shout out to all the people that came in today. Shout out to the mods. Shout out to XN. Shout out to David Ford. Shout out to Trade Intuition. Shout out to Emmanuel. Shout out to let's see who else. Mr. Crypto. Shout out to JB. Thank you guys for coming in, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace out.